everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of Moonlight Mysteries, where we talk about all things supernatural, mysterious, fantastical, and paranormal. Today we're talking all about giants, the folklore and mythology surrounding them, what were common beliefs about them, and where people think they've gone to now. Stories about giants are so diverse that a lot of people conjure up different images in their head about what giants actually are. In modern media, giants are depicted in a variety of ways. A lot of the times they just are massive humans with giant clubs that can smash people and hurt people. Sometimes giants are like big ogres or trolls. Sometimes they're just really big people and end up being happy and nice. The folklore surrounding giants is related to them being negative and harmful beings. Usually they're depicted as killing and eating people. The belief in giants as mythical creatures or even real things that people should be scared of has originated back from thousands of years ago, even to biblical times. In Abrahamic history, Genesis tells of the Nephilim before and after Noah's flood. The word Nephilim roughly translates in the Hebrew language to the word giant. It is unknown what Nephilim actually look like, but they're known to be fallen angels. According to Genesis 7:23, the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, but they weren't actually, because several biblical reports were made after of them still existing. The book of Numbers includes the discouraging report by the spies sent by Moses in Canaan, saying, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." The book of Joshua, describing the actual conquest of Canaan in later generation, makes reference to such people living there. And then, of course, there's the famous biblical story of David and Goliath. While Goliath is often portrayed as a giant in retellings of the biblical narrative, he appears to be significantly smaller than the other giants, biblical or otherwise. The Masoretic text version of the book of Samuel gives his height at 6 cubits and 1 span, which is about 10 feet 3 inches to 12 feet 2 inches. The Bible also tells of the giants Gog and Magog, who also appear later in European folklore. Ancient Greek folklore states that giants are large creatures with a humanoid form with sizable strength and build. In Greek mythology, giants were thought to be the children of Uranus and Gaia, the sky and earth gods. Some depictions here show them with snake-like legs. Still in Greek mythology, cyclopses are commonly compared to giants, mostly stemming from Homer's book The Odyssey. In the book, Polyphemus the Cyclops is the son of Poseidon and Theusa and nemesis of Odysseus. In Norse mythology, giants are often opposed to the gods. Some were described as being fairly human in stature, while others were described being gigantic, and some even were associated with the elements. There were frost giants, earth giants, and fire giants. There is folklore from all over Europe describing giants and their history. Giants were believed to have built the remains of ancient civilizations. The Danish historian Saxo Grammaticus thought giants had a hand in the creation of megalithic monuments. Similarly, the Old English poem The Seafarer speaks of the high stone walls that were the work of giants. Natural geologic structures such as massive basalt columns of the Giant's Causeway on the coast of Northern Ireland were attributed to construction by giants. In the Netherlands, giants are attributed to creating and shaping the landscape. For instance, 2 giants are said to have dug a channel until they reached the village of Akram, where they had an argument and each went his own way, thus splitting the channel into 2 separate waterways. In the time period where giants were thought to be real, people were terrified of them. In several legends, giants were evil beings that threatened, robbed, and killed travelers or locals. Tales of combat with giants were a common feature in the folklore of the British Isles. Many giants in English folklore were noted for their stupidity and dumb behaviors. A giant who had quarreled with the mayor of Shrewsbury went to the city to try and cover it with dirt, but was stopped by a local shoemaker along the way. The shoemaker was carrying shoes to repair, and he convinced the giant that he had worn out all the shoes himself, going to Shrewsbury, saying that it would be way too far to travel. Other English stories used to tell about how giants threw stones at each other, which was a great explanation for random stones and boulders being in weird locations, such as in the middle of fields. Some creatures who are closely associated with giants include cyclops, nephilim, trolls, and ogres. There are so many places around the world that have history and mythologies related to giants. There was a quaint village in the English countryside with an unknown name. The heart of the village was its market square where traders, farmers, and artisans gathered daily. But beyond the village lay a forest, a place shrouded in legend and the subject of many local tales. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the land, a young shepherd was tending to his flock near the edge of the forest. Known for his adventurous spirit and insatiable curiosity, he often explored places others dared not. As he guided his sheep back toward the village, he noticed an unusual stillness in the air. The birds had stopped singing, and even the rustle of the leaves sounded muted. Suddenly, the ground beneath him began to tremble. At first, he thought it was his imagination, but the tremors grew stronger, causing the sheep to bleat in panic. He looked up towards the forest, his heart pounding in his chest. Emerging from the shadows of the ancient trees was a colossal figure. The giant, towering at least 30 feet tall, had skin that seemed to be made of stone, covered in moss and vines. His eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and his movements, though slow, were deliberate and menacing. Fear gripped the shepherd as he realized the giant's intent was far from friendly. The giant raised his massive wooden staff, and with a thunderous roar he began to advance, each step shaking the ground beneath him. The shepherd knew he had to act quickly. Gathering his courage, he turned and sprinted towards the village, urging his flock to follow. The giant's strides were long, and despite his size, he moved with alarming speed. The shepherd could hear the crashing of trees and the bellowing of the giant growing even closer. In his panic, the shepherd stumbled upon a narrow, overgrown path he had never noticed before, and without hesitation, darted down it, hoping it would lead to safety. The path twisted and turned, leading him deeper into the forest, but the giant was relentless, chasing through the underbrush in pursuit of him. As the shepherd rounded a bend, he spotted a small rocky cave partially hidden with ivy and ferns. With no other options, he dove inside, pressing himself against the cool, damp stone. He held his breath, his heart pounding in his ears, as the giant's footsteps approached. The giant stopped at the mouth of the cave, his glowing eyes scanning the area. For a terrifying moment, it seemed he might discover the shepherd's hiding place, but the cave's entrance was too small for him to enter, and after a tense silence, the giant let out a frustrating roar and moved on, his footsteps gradually fading into the distance. The shepherd waited in the cave until he was certain the giant was gone. Trembling, he emerged and carefully made his way back to the village, constantly looking over his shoulder. When he finally reached the safety of his home, he shared his harrowing tale with the villagers and his family. The shepherd's narrow escape became a legend and a reminder of the dangers that lurked beyond the village and the importance of courage and quick thinking in the face of peril. Though the giant was never seen again, his presence cast a long shadow over the village, a cautionary tale of the hidden dangers that lay just beyond the edge of the familiar world. I honestly haven't heard about many modern stories from people saying that they've discovered giants, but there was one extremely popular case lately where a man kept seeing a human-like figure that was so big because he saw it on a mountain that was far away, but he could still see the distinct form of the figure. There are a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this man because some say that he made these videos and then disappeared. I think he claimed that the police were following him and all of a sudden he left social media. So people were scared that like something happened to him or the government abducted him for seeing something that he shouldn't have seen. But really nothing else has been known about that situation. Some people think of Bigfoot as a giant. I wouldn't really put him in that category. I'd say he's more of a cryptid, and he's described as being really big, but I think giants, like what I view of giants, would be even bigger than that. Like, you know, an elephant's big, but I wouldn't call an elephant a giant. Or like ape creatures are bigger than us, but I also wouldn't call apes giants either. I have heard of multiple stories where people think that something really big that's bipedal, walking on two legs, is following them through the forest. But I don't think they ever saw anything. I think it was more of they heard footsteps or heard that specific sound behind them. There have been some claims of people finding giant footprints of human feet in like mud or certain forested areas, but those have never been proven or debunked as far as I know. So that's it today, guys, on giants. If you have any personal stories or experiences with giants or any creatures that are similar, like ogres, trolls, even Bigfoot, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll tell your story in a future video. Thanks for coming back to watch episode 2 of Moonlight Mysteries, and I hope to see you guys in the near future. Bye!